Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing okay, and today I'm going to have a go at tackling this lacquer peel on my 1995 Rover 214 SI. This isn't going to be a how-to video. I'm just going to go through the stages of what I'm going to do, having taken advice from Simon from Smashing Pistons, who, as you've seen, is a whiz with bodywork, and he's very helpfully given me a guide on what to do. So the first thing that we're going to do is, obviously, you've got to make sure the area is clean and free of any contaminants, and what I'm going to use for that is I'm going to use this U-Pole fast drying degreaser, which is what me and Simon used a few weeks ago actually when we looked at the Rover P4 that he's currently looking after. So I've got some blue roll there that I'm going to apply it with, and that's going to be the first stage. So I've just applied that on, and as you can see, it's dried almost straight away. Now I've done it on a wide area because, just in case I get a little bit of overspray on the lacquer, it's also going to make a sort of build up a bit less likely as well. If you do it over a wider area on the bonnet, then it means you're less likely to fill in the gap too much that you're lacquering. So next stage is I'm going to mask off the area so I don't spray it absolutely everywhere, and then we should be able to start getting the lacquer on there. Right, I've masked off. I've run out of masking tape, but I've masked off the main areas. If it goes over here a little bit, it doesn't matter too much. It is a little bit windy, so I'm just waiting for a small lull in the wind before I do the application, because the application won't take very long at all. As you can see, I'm improvising with how I'm holding the newspaper in place with the steering lock, but hey ho, you have to improvise on car jobs. Right, there's a lull now. This might be a good chance to get in there. Right, so that's now 3 coats in. Left about 10 minutes between each coat drying. And as you can see, it's obviously shinier. It's a bit blotchy, but that's to be expected, because what I've got to do now is I've got to wait for it to properly cure for several days, then go over it with really fine wet and dry paper to make it smooth, but also to get rid of these imperfections on the edge as well. And then once I've done that, then I should be able to then put some more on the top, and that hopefully will give me the desired effect. So several days later, we're coming back to the Rover. So it's had 3 days to cure, and that is smoother. It's not exactly smooth, but it definitely is, and that shows the advantages of actually leaving it to cure. So what I need to do now is try to get rid of these rough edges here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe it down with some more panel wipe, just to make sure there's no contaminants that I'm going to sand in there, and then I'm going to use 2000 grit on the edges of that, and hopefully that's going to be able to get rid of those rough edges, and then I'll level it back out again with the lacquer. So that's the progress, and it has gone through in a couple of places unfortunately, but getting this lip down is pretty difficult, but it's really smooth now, the bonnet. So I'm hoping that now that I've panel wiped it, the lacquer should actually hide most of that. We'll soon see anyway, so let's give it a go and see what we end up with. Right, so there's not quite the end result, but that's after about 7 to 8 coats of lacquer, and it's blended in a bit better than I thought it would. It's not perfect. I mean, I wasn't naive enough to assume that I was just going to achieve perfection here, because this is the first time I've done something like this. I did start flattening the edges with 2000 grit wet, but then it wasn't really doing anything. It was too fine, so I tried 1000, and that did start to, you know, get rid of the surround there, but then it was taking off. I saw it do that obviously in that, so I thought, right, let's stop now. So my theory from this is either it's best to do 1500 grit paper with that bit, or maybe sand the whole thing back before the lacquer and then just paint it and then do the lacquer, and then you might get a smoother finish. That's what I've learned from that anyway. So it's still an improvement on what it was before, and I need to obviously wait for this to cure for a couple of days, and then I'm going to go over this with 3000 grit paper, so really fine, just to get a really, really good finish over it, and also to get rid of any overspray that's got on the bonnet as well, because there is a little bit. So clean the bonnet, sand it back very lightly, and hopefully that should then be job done. I probably will get this bonnet resprayed eventually at some point, but I'll give that a couple of days to cure, and then I'll show you what it looks like after I've gone over it with some 3000 grit sandpaper. So the Rover's bonnet, as you can see, is a bit dirty after a few days, so I'm going to give it a good nice clean just with some soapy water, so I can actually see which bits I need to flatten back with 3000 grit, because obviously the overspray with the lacquer will roughen up the surface a little bit and make it not look as good. So I'll give it a nice clean, then I'll wipe it off with a drying cloth, then I'll put some panel wipe on it, and then I'll get 3000 grit wet and then just give it over lightly to make sure it's all nice and smooth. And that should hopefully be job done on this, in terms of as well as I can do it anyway. Right, that's the bonnet cleaned, and you can see there are a few little imperfections on there, having put the panel wipe on it. Over here a little bit, and over here you can see where it's a bit flaky there. If I can just show you, you can feel the difference on it, where it's smooth and where it's not. So I'm just going to run over some 3000 over that really lightly. I've already got the water there. Really lightly, let the paper do the work, and then I'm going to put some T-cut on it and then some polish, having buffed them off in between obviously, and that hopefully should give me the effect that I want on this. So that's a couple of efforts of flattening back and some T-cut and polish. I think I do need to go over it a few more times, which I'll do eventually. I don't need to video doing that really, but overall I'm pretty happy with that. It's hard to actually see, or harder to see the imperfection compared to where it was before. So I think I'll stop that for the moment, particularly when it's looking like it's going to rain soon. So I've got done what I wanted to do. Now stay tuned on this car, because there is going to be quite a big update coming on this soon, because I took it to the garage yesterday, got it back today, having had some work due on it, and I was told something. So stay tuned for that, because it could be a very big update on this car and its future. So thanks very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. Please become a channel member, it'd be much appreciated if you could, and I'll see you guys very soon. All the best.